we're talking about why journalism, that would probably be a question that my parents were asking when I was in college. Why journalism? Why newspapers? I don't think it really is any parent's dream, maybe a parent who's a journalist. But other than that, I don't think it's any parent's dream that their son or daughter become a newspaper reporter. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I decided I was going to be a lawyer, not because I wanted to be a lawyer, but because my parents, like probably a lot of parents, had, I want my son to be a doctor or lawyer disease. And wasn't going to be a doctor because the science grades and the math grades clearly indicated that wasn't going to be the route. The STEM route was not going to be my route. So I figured I would major in English and go to law school. And you reach a point when you realize this is not what you want to do. And you also realize what you actually want to do, and that your choices have pretty much dictated what you really want to do. I'd been on the high school newspaper, and in college I was on the school newspaper, and I was taking all these journalism courses in college, not exactly the typical path of an aspiring lawyer. And so second semester of senior year, staring at all the enormous career possibilities that an English degree would entail, I decided I needed to go to graduate school. So I went to graduate school to get a degree, a master's degree in journalism, with the idea of being a sports writer. Because, you know, by that point, I just simplified things in how I processed what I wanted to do with my life. And I said, I love sports and I love to write, so I'll be a sports writer. So when I was at Northwestern, I met one of the, I think the baseball writer for Sports Illustrated, which I had read since maybe I was 8 or 9. My father started a subscription for me. So he unwittingly laid the path for me to become a journalist. And I said, hey, what do I need to do to get on your staff? Because that's what I want to do eventually. And he said, well, you need a couple of years of hard news experience. And so I landed here. First as an intern and eventually as a staffer. And at some point I just realized that I wanted to stay in hard news and that just writing sports wasn't going to do it for me. I'd worked here 10 years, had been on our Williamsburg bureau, covered Chesterfield County and covered the Richmond city government, and was a working journalist, doing okay, but I didn't really find myself as a journalist until I began writing opinion. And how that happened was, at the time we had 2 newspapers. Richmond newspapers, which owned us, the Bryan family, had 2 newspapers, one morning paper, us of course, the Times-Dispatch, and an evening paper, the News Leader. And evening newspapers were going the route of the dinosaur. And they announced that the News Leader would be shutting down and that their staff, for the most part, would be merged into ours. And we were all basically told to reapply for our jobs, and I saw it as an opportunity. So I marched to my editor's office and I said, look, we have a lot of people writing opinion that we run in our newspaper. And I don't see any of them who look like me or think like me. And in a city like Richmond, it's predominantly black, or at the time was. And with our readership, if we really truly are serious about representing the communities that we cover, this is something we need to do. And I can do this. I feel like I've earned the right to at least attempt this, but if you don't let me do it, you need to find someone who will. It's a long shot. You know, you kind of throw that Hail Mary up and you don't know where it's going to land, but sure enough, they bought it. And that's how I started writing columns. Most people who are in my situation who are writing newspaper columns in their hometown would agree. It kind of gives you a built-in advantage. I couldn't do what I do in another city readily because I just don't have the built-in life experience. The intuitive knowledge of the city that's born out of personal experience that I have being a Richmond native. So Richmond's in my DNA.